All right, we're gonna keep talking in a third video today. We're gonna keep talking about Real Madrid and more stuff, not only regarding to the game last night, the horrible game last night, the defeat against Villarreal, but also more stuff Fabrizio Romano said in that podcast. I think it was a podcast. Let me check it out really quick. It was Fabrizio Romano on Onam. Onam, I don't know what is that. Let me find out. Yeah, it's a radio show, whatever it is, but AMP is the radio show Fabrizio Romano showed up in to talk about Real Madrid. So we'll be talking about more stuff that he said regarding to possible potential signings by Real Madrid. But before they get started, let me tell you something. Carlo Ancelotti, in a statement in the press conference, said something like this: "We were bad, too open in midfield." And of course, that is not a coincidence. Carlo Ancelotti is very disappointed with three players, and I'm going to reveal the names. But let me tell you something. It is not very difficult to guess, right? It is not, you don't have to be a scientist, right? Rocket scientist to figure it out, because it's very easy to guess the defense line, the back line of Real Madrid. The back line of Real Madrid was the biggest disappointment for Carlo Ancelotti last night. Every single player, starting with Ferland Mendy all the way to Militao, was a big disappointment. So we shouldn't talk about the four players that disappointed the most to Carlo Ancelotti. We should talk about the whole defense line. It was a big disappointment for Carlo Ancelotti. So for example, Militao didn't work in the right back, but the difference with the rest of the players is Carlo Ancelotti decided to put the player in that position, right? So it's not his fault, right? It was Carlo Ancelotti's responsibility for taking that decision. So I'm going to discharge this guy because he's not within or inside that group. But inside that group of players, the really disappointed to Carlo Ancelotti were Rudiger, number one. The guy is not adapting okay to Real Madrid. David Alaba, the second one, the guy is not very solid, is not proving anybody that he was the perfect replacement for Rafa Varane and Sergio Ramos, but it's not coming. I mean, this organization, my opinion is, it is not coming out from the player in himself. It is about the this organization in the whole defense line, right? The lack of coordination between the two center backs. I'm talking about Rudiger, Alaba, or even Militao and Alaba when they play together. So it is not coming out from one single player. It is coming out the whole thing, right? So that's number one, Rudiger. Second one, David Alaba. And the third one, of course, it is coming out from Ferland Mendy. The bad news with Ferland Mendy is Carlo Ancelotti doesn't have any other perfect replacement for Carlo Ancelotti. And it's funny because we have had, over the last 3 years, we have had left backs enough to replace one to the other. For example, we've been having to Ferland Mendy, we've been having to Miguel Gutierrez, and also Marcelo. We have had even 3 players per position in the left back position. So we have had a lot of multiple different choices to replace one to the other, but right now there's no other choice, and David Alaba is not a choice anymore to be placed in the left back position. My opinion is David Alaba is way better as a center back, and he's not great. Let me tell you, frankly, to be honest, he's not great as a center back right now, but as a left back, it's probably worse, right? So right now, the only player you have is Ferland Mendy. But in this kind of circumstances, I would pick to Nacho in the center back of the defense. And for the next game, I would be brave enough and say, okay, I'm going to put Nacho in the lineup. So these guys pay attention to this detail and try to get themselves a little bit higher, right? Try to get themselves a little bit stronger, a little bit better. Try to compete to each other for a position in Real Madrid. Because right now, what it seems to me is these players already know that they will be lined up for sure no matter what, right? Whatsoever. So that is the problem. And when all the problems come up, when some players think they have the position already won and they don't have to win anything, then they slack off, they sluggish, they're kind of like, okay, we have the position, we don't have to fight for it. No, be careful with that. We still have a great player. It is called Nacho, who can replace to any of those, right? He can replace and play even better, significantly better than David Alaba, Rudiger, and other players. So my opinion is Carlo Ancelotti should be brave enough and say, okay, I'm going to put Nacho right now, I'm going to put Vallejo right now, and you guys are going to the bench right now to learn a lesson, right? In Real Madrid, you got to compete, you got to win, you got to fight, and you have to strive to win every single time, every single lineup in this season, right? In the season. So there's no already given positions for any player. Do not take it for granted, right? Once you are playing for Real Madrid, man, you gotta fight and you gotta strive for every single chance you have. And these players, in my opinion, are kind of like becoming a little bit lazy, and they don't really deserve to be right now in the defense line of Real Madrid. That's my opinion, but that's why I'm saying Carlo Ancelotti is a little bit disappointed with these guys, and it's not a surprise. He said that in the press conference after the game last night, so it's getting worse, and be careful with that because the season is not going to give you any more chances, okay? So let's see what happens. And then with all that stuff, Fabrizio Romano was talking about Real Madrid last night. I'm going to highlight a couple things here. And the first one, for example, talking about the defense line, he said, I think Real Madrid will sign a new left back in the summer. Yeah, that's pretty true. And the only name right now that is popping up and it's getting importance is Fran Garcia from Rayo Vallecano. Some people have said Alphonso Davies is the perfect replacement, and I do agree with that. Problem is, Alphonso Davies plays for Bayern de Munich, and according to what Jose Felix Diaz told me, Bayern de Munich is a very, very difficult club to deal with, right? If you want a player, if you want one of his players, you gotta be tough, right? You gotta be tough, and it's gonna be very difficult and complicated. And also, he still has a contract until 2024. So we have to wait, and there's no, I would say close to zero options to sign the player, okay? So it's getting very difficult and complicated. And the other choice is Fran Garcia. Honestly, I'm not quite sure if Fran Garcia is ready to go, but it might be a better option if we don't have any other choice, right? So let's see what happens with this guy, and let's see if we are able to move on and find the perfect left back for Real Madrid position. That is one thing. The other thing is, Fabrizio Romano, quote here, as of now, there's nothing on signing attackers by Real Madrid. Things will be evaluated, assessed in the summer. Let me tell you something regarding to this. Tomorrow, I will have Tomás González Martín on my show, and I will be asking him about this because Tomás González Martín still claims Real Madrid is seeking a new attacker. I don't know whether it's Kylian Mbappe or any other. Real Madrid is still on their quest to find the best attacker for Real Madrid right immediately. Before the Endrick to come up, before Haaland can happen, we are trying to find a good attacker, number 9, striker, whatever you want to call it, for now. For now, we need a player now. We need an attacker now. We need a forward now. So that is exactly what the scouting department of Real Madrid is trying to do right now. Finding the perfect replacement for Karim Benzema. Because as you know, if there's no Benzema, there's no party. No Benzema, no replacement. Nothing, nobody will show up, okay, at the same level. So Real Madrid really needs an attacker, really needs a forward and a striker. So let's see what happens, man, because it's very difficult, and I know that, man, but we gotta get it. We gotta get it. So let's see what happens, and all the things we can do. And it's keep trying and keep pushing for a player like him, and let's see, and just wait, okay, just wait, and let's see. Oh, the other smash by Carlo Ancelotti was this: our players are not as fit as they were before the World Cup, but this is not why we lost today. Yeah, it was not the fitness, right? The main thing, the main cause for the defeat last night. It was pretty much this coordination, the uncoordination. I don't know how to say that in English, but no organization at all in the defense line mainly, and in the midfield as well. So that was the big responsibility. And that is the next big responsibility for Carlo Ancelotti, to put the pieces together and get a better defense line and midfield, of course, because the attack line, otherwise the attack line is not going to work. So let's see what happens. And this is all that stuff that Fabrizio Romano said about Real Madrid last night.